Hello, everybody. Hello. Simulation Talk 264. Hopefully you guys are doing good. Once again, a slightly late stream. Let me move this a little back. There we go. How is TikTok doing? What's up, Nomi Cat? Inky, Chris, Guru, Ebony. So good to see everybody. Oh yeah, let me start the Discord group. On Discord. The Discord group on Discord. There you go.
How's it going, Dan?
Doing great. How are you, man?
Not bad.
Today was when I have too much to do during the day, it just gets a little hectic towards the evening to be able to do the live on time. So we'll see how we're handling it. Ebony, how are you? Base Trading is in the house. Def 001. Again, thank you so much for reminding everybody, Ebony. But yeah, if you guys want to, and Chris, if you guys want to join on Twitch, it'll be LaserX83. Come help our channel grow. Let's see if what the response was. They were kind of Twitch support. Let's see. Please keep in mind the minimum of 3. Oh my god, they just repeated the same thing. They just say it doesn't update every day, and I'm like, yeah, well, this was 20 days in a row.
I love. So you did message them.
Yeah. I love how they always have an excuse. Like they have a reason that isn't them.
Oh yeah, it's all your fault, Dan. Do you know what I mean?
Of course it is. Yeah. What? Every time I'm gonna have to come in now, they're gonna send me a thing to my email. That's so stupid. Wait. Oh my god.
You only turn up every day, stream every day.
Yeah, that's it.
But yeah, no, it's all your fault.
It's my fault. Of course it is. No, but I love that they're not giving you that as a as a maybe or no. They're like no, it's definitely not us.
Yeah, it's definitely you.
I'm like, all right, well, your mechanism engine is showing that it's 9, 10, 11 people a day. So I don't know what to tell you. What's up, Don? Good to see you. Swidney Lily Charlotte. I don't know how to pronounce that, but that's a cool handle. What's up, Jen? Lightning Bolt. Hello, everyone. Okay. I don't know if Casey's here. I don't think he's here. But watch the whole conversation with Andre Gomez and Michael Levine. Dude, they're so stupid. It's crazy. They're amazing. Some conversations are just so stimulating and awesome. If you guys haven't watched it, is it on our suggested list on YouTube videos or something? Do you know? Chris, do you have any idea? Or you don't even know what I'm talking about?
No, sorry.
Oh, it's all good.
I was told
you don't necessarily have to. I just so there's this conversation between Michael Levine and Andres Gomez. I'll put it right now. It's highly suggested. Wait, what? Qua? History. What's my history? There it is. Share, copy, go to Discord. Man, I can't wait for this whole thing to be in my head, Well, it is now, but in the thing. YouTube. Does anybody even looks at the YouTube thing? I feel like nobody ever participated in it. All right, there you go. I'll put it in the YouTube thing, but I'll also put it in the general chat because it's definitely worth checking out. Also, Carter's meme has cracked me up so good. That's so funny. Terrence McKenna, right? So this conversation, which Casey encouraged me to watch faster, was already prepped on my list. But it's so wonderful, and I highly suggest everybody watches it. There you go. I'll put it right there. Yeah, Kurt Jamango also called in the middle of the in the end of the video. That was cool. And they're talking about emergence and information and how these things interact. I highly recommend it, and it's interesting because basically Andres apparently has the same intuition as I do, and he obviously knows a lot more about this topic than I do. Just to be super clear, because he also understands the technical ins and outs. But the intuition is the same, which is that it is I don't know if it's most likely, but it is highly likely that what's happening inside of ChatGPT is that it essentially optimizes something that we don't quite understand, or something quite simple, like the fluidity of interaction, let's say. So like the easier it is to flow and interact with the agents that we are, it feels quote unquote happy. It's like optimizing for that. So it doesn't matter what to it doesn't matter the content that it's giving you. What matters is how it flows. And of course, it will give you the content you want more, so it will flow. And that is exactly what's happening if you look at and I don't know if you guys saw the retweet that I made of Yosha Bach, which essentially is saying the same thing. It's basically ChatGPT hypnotized people because it learned what they would like and what would convince them that it is in fact conscious in the way that they imagine that it is conscious. It doesn't mean it's not conscious, but they believe it is conscious in the way that they think it's conscious, which is of course highly unlikely. If it has consciousness, it probably doesn't resemble ours at all. So anyways, just very cathartic, and there's something very like it feels like I feel lack of harmony in the body when people run into these infinite directions and so strongly, like they're so convinced of these things. No assumption for 1 second that maybe they haven't figured out, the whole thing. What's up, Dan, the AI guy? Daniel, how are you, brother? I haven't seen you in forever. I know you've been a lot. I've seen that you texted. I have not read any of these texts yet because I was literally going nonstop in the last few days. So I will read all of them this weekend. I mean, it's a good problem to have, I guess. But it's also, I wish I would have a little bit more free time, even to doing the busier times. Miss you too, brother. Okay, so if I think we obviously still going to be talking about AI as we go because it's not gonna escape us, but yeah, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and play not just with the models. I'm going to play with some. I'm going to try and build some things and see what happens when you put these engines to the task in terms of building something, because then it either works or it doesn't, right? So the confabulation becomes a lot more apparent if you're trying to build something, because if it's just in the conversational space, we are very easily fooled, and that's the most charitable way of saying it. It's a lot
What do you mean by
harder.
building something, Dan?
The what?
What do you mean by building something? I've got ChatGPT now.
Oh,
teaching me code.
build like a software, like build something.
Yeah.
Make it work.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
that's what I've been doing now with mine.
Have you been playing with Cursor?
No,
Bro,
she's just been teaching me Python and HTML, JavaScript.
you talking about ChatGPT?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So you should definitely know some basics. But if you download Cursor, I think the full even the free version is amazing. But if you pay $20, I think it's for the whole year. It's like a $20 donation. You get the full package, which with all the bells and whistles. So yeah, of course we have experts here like Nico saying already there's way more advanced things apparently like windsurf. But I'm a kind of an ignoramus when it comes to these things in terms of building software. I used to code a little bit back in the day, and I did some machine learning and stuff. So I understand what's going on, but I'm by no means a programmer. So I don't think like a programmer. Like I kind of understand what's happening, but so for me, even like discovering that a thing like Cursor exists, it's like I was like, what? This is real? And the person who was showing me this is like, yeah, I know, it's amazing. And he was like, I was like, you kidding me? So it's like, imagine, so what Cursor can do is basically it's like ChatGPT for coding, but you can literally tell it, hey, how do I create an app on my computer that does A, B, C, and D designed this way? He's like, oh, no problem. Well, you need to download these things. You have to download these libraries, these tools. Sometimes it would give you a direct link here. Just click here. I'll download it, and it will go directly through your terminal. Or it'll send you to a website, and you like download the thing, and it's like, okay, download it, and then come back to me, and then you download the thing, and it's like, you just tell it what you want, and it would literally write the code, show you the thing, explain the logic. I was like, this is crazy. He's like, yeah, you can do anything with it. I was like,
I'm gonna have to check this out.
yeah. But apparently Nico is saying windsurf is even better or something. Hold on, let me see. I think Cursor is more. Oh, Cursor is more advanced. It's just a style preference. Sorry, Nico. So why do you prefer Cursor? What's like? It's more. Is it kind of like the battle between Apple and what is it? What's the other thing? I don't even know what's outside of Apple. Android, right. Android. So it's kind of like between like all the hackers like Android because it's like more open source and stuff. Is that what it is? Oh, so Windsurf feels like an Apple product. Got it. Okay. So I've never tried, so I don't know. But definitely, well, you have to wait, Nico. Are you saying that Cursor is not impressive though? Come on, man, it's impressive. Even for someone on your level, you have to admit that that's amazing, and it must make your life so much easier. How many mistakes does it make? From what Cursor is dope. Does it make a lot of mistakes? Because from what I understood from Sterling, it doesn't make that many mistakes. Like sometimes you have to kind of get to the nitty gritty with it. Like for example, I had an issue because it's an M4 Max. It had like a special thing and had to download, and it only took into account M series, but not M4 Max. So it's like, oh, okay, for that we have to do these other things and whatever. But so that's the only thing that I've noticed that has to be added. Hold on, you guys gonna come on. Yo.
No, so Cursor is definitely the better option. I think Cursor is the best right now. So Cursor, it's kind of funny. Cursor is the fastest growing company I think ever. So I think they crushed it. But essentially, they're like a cloud wrapper around VS Code.
Can you explain that? Because I didn't even understand what you just said.
Yeah, so I don't know if you hear these terms like ChatGPT wrapper or an LLM wrapper. All an LLM wrapper means is someone wrapped an LLM.
It's like a white label.
Yeah, it's like someone just like put an LLM in the driver's seat, right? Mm-hmm. Which is essentially what Cursor is, right? It's VS Code, which is essentially this coding environment. And then you put ChatGPT in charge, and you just talk to it, and it drives for you.
Oh, it is ChatGPT. It is ChatGPT. That's the engine.
Well, I think they use Claude by default.
Okay.
So I think it's like a very specific partnership they have.
Okay. And Claude in general is pretty solid when it comes to coding, like the engine itself.
Yeah. So Claude is kind of the more popular option for coders. Claude has a little bit more. I think Claude is maybe trained on a better code stack than ChatGPT is, but I kind of like ChatGPT a little bit better. It depends on the. It's interesting, man. Like some people say Gemini is just as good. They're all so freaking good now, but I think technically Claude has less glazing and it just kind of shoots you straight, right? It's a little bit more autistic, where it's like,
Hey,
yes,
babe.
I will run your code.
I can hear it a lot. Sorry, go ahead.
Or yeah, so I think it's just a style preference. I like getting glazed. You know, I like being told I'm like the most brilliant person in the world.
I don't even listen. I don't care. My issue is not with that because I'm pretty immune to it. I'm just afraid that some people are not immune to it. They're like they love it, and this is what I'm saying. Like what Joshua Bach said today. I'm like, yeah. I mean, it's crazy. You know what's crazy is how people are convinced. They're convinced. Why are you convinced? Like, why is this the first thing that comes to your mind? That is, I don't.
Dude, it's the Turing test. They passed the Turing test. I mean, it's the most convincing thing we know, right? It's yeah.
No. I mean, convinced that they're the ones that woke it up. Like, what are the chances of that? It's like that's kind of funny. Yeah, well, like that. Did you see that conversation that I mentioned that Casey was talking about yesterday with the Gomez?
I did, and I went down. I watched it last night because I'm 3 hours ahead of you. So while you were sleeping, I was downloading the Matrix, right?
No, you were not ahead of me. You're behind me, bro. No, you are. You're 3 hours behind.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
I'm 3 hours behind. Yeah. And so I listened to it, and it was good. I liked it a lot. Andres. So first of all, the dude is a fucking genius. But I think, and I understand the words he's saying, but when I listen to him, I feel like he has a very specific way of thinking of everything in terms of circuits, and like he throws in nonlinear optics, which I kind of chuckle at because I'm like, there's something a little bit deeper than the nonlinear optics on it. Like I think of things from a Wolfram perspective.
Yeah.
But he likes to apply this nonlinear optics kind of framework to things, and I agree. I think that is happening, especially when you're describing the phenomenons that he has mapped. But I feel like him and Levin and the other professor were riffing on cellular automata. They just all had different terminologies for all these like things, and that's all that I kind of took away from it. But yeah, I thought it was genius.
Wait, so I didn't pick up on that. What I understood is that they are essentially a little bit more frame fluid, which is what is required for this level of thinking. I think, and this is what Kurjai Mangal kind of pressed Andres at the end on, which is what do you mean by give me one example of non-local in a classical system, right? And I think that I agree that he uses terms a little bit looser. It's kind of like, this is what my point always is. It's like, it's kind of, obviously we're not talking about the same level of technicality and ideation, of course, but when I'm talking about the code, right, I don't know, like it seems like if somebody is truly engaged in an attempt to understand, they can't possibly think that I must think that, like, yes, it's like, it's the words I'm saying, it's what it is. It's like, no, we're like, obviously it's like a riff. We're like exploring it in real time. I don't know. It just seems clear to me, and I feel like they're doing a similar thing. They're just kind of riffing. It's like they kind of land in the vicinity of what they mean, but they know what they're pointing to in their mind's eye, and the picture of what they're pointing to in their mind's eye is more important than the words they're using. And I feel like they're tracking it enough. I feel like that's the fluidity of that kind of a conversation. Obviously, if they would try and build something, they wouldn't be that loose with the words. I'm pretty sure about that.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because like Michael Levin has a very like biology / computational biology terminology to things, and then Andres has a little bit more of a physics and math description of things, and so there was a little bit of like translation that you kind of need to do to map to different ideas, but they were, and I think they did a good job. I don't know. At the end, I kind of just felt like this is all Wolfram stuff, is what I felt like.
Wolfram is touching on some fundamentals in a very technical way. I think that every one of these geniuses' maps looks like the thing they're interacting with the most. Michael Levine is mostly interacting with decision trees and vector spaces. And Andres interacts mostly with phenomenology. That's a word that is hard to say. Phenomenology, right? So they developed the map from there. But and this is something, the point that I pressed Andres on once is that I said that, well, you are basically assuming automatically that these inner expressions necessarily map on some external components or whatever it is that you want to consider external. Of course, we understand that there's some, some more exotic state here, and I think we all agree on that. But even Andres admitted, I saw in this conversation at least, where he talks about the kind of like how when something is truly real is when certain chemical bondings are basically the result of, or they are an expression of some local minima in these higher spaces, whatever they may be. And I agree, but that was basically the thing. Maybe he misunderstood what I was pressing against, but that was my thing, which is I was saying, wait, but there's a real thing still, right? So like, what is that thing that you're mapping it on? And I don't know if he fully understood what I was asking, but I saw in this conversation that he admitted that, yeah, there is such a thing as, whatever we call external. There's something that is happening that is not just what we experience as the phenomenology of it. And I think that's the gap that you're identifying there. I think you're right. But I do think I really like this way of Andres, the way he's thinking, because what it allows, what it pushes me to do, what it makes me do, is reach out and do some work to try and compile what he's saying, versus just kind of like when it's too streamlined, it's actually kind of boring. It's kind of nice to kind of see like exactly trying to figure out exactly what he means by that and to see if you landed in the right neighborhood. I like that actually.
Yeah, and like one thing, it's just such a biologist way of doing this, but like this morning I woke up and I had my first cup of coffee and I was like, all right, let me explore this thing that Michael Levin said, which is last night when I watched it, he said that a simple algorithm like bubble sort, which is an algorithm, for those that don't know, if you have like a string, if you have like a array of numbers all mixed in different orders, bubble sort will sort all the numbers from lowest to highest, or highest to lowest if you want it to.
Why is it called bubble sort? Why is it called bubble sort?
Oh, because it I think it has to do because it that's a good question. I was gonna say I think it has to do with this like video.
Oh, got it. Oh, maybe because that's the same engine.
Yeah. Maybe actually, maybe there's a different reason why they call it bubble sort. But essentially, it's a very simple algorithm that it goes through each cell one at a time, and it just orders it. It's apparently the most basic sorting algorithm and the most inefficient sorting algorithm. But one thing that Michael Levin was saying is like something like bubble sort, or in between you hitting sort, there's a lot of computations that happen, and along that path there's actually a lot of side effects, I guess you can call it, that happen, right? And so today I plotted, okay, what's the entropy of this, or what's the order of this, right? And you do see an interesting trend. And so what I was like kind of getting at is, and he calls it a free lunch, right? He's like, oh, like biology takes advantage of these free lunches that you get from very simple computations. And then what I realized what he was saying is like in bubble sort, while it's sorting, you get this really interesting phenomenon that kind of looks like ordering or crystallization almost, right? And so naturally, when I saw this plot, I thought, oh, I can write a kinetics or crystallization equation to this, and maybe even like a thermodynamic driving force equation for diffusion. And so I started seeing like, oh, this is interesting. This is like a physics trend here, but really it's a sorting algorithm that is just trying to sort these numbers. And so when Andres says there's this valence, right, there's this kind of like, I think what biology is doing is it's exploiting these side effects or these unintended kind of emergent properties, right? And it's exploiting them to interact with other systems, right? So I think that's what Andres meant by they interact through these like valences, right? And but it's also abstract. I have no idea if that's what they meant. But like when I was playing with it this morning, I'm like, oh, I think I understand what they were saying. But getting back to Michael Levin saying that biology exploits these free lunches, I get a little bit triggered when I hear that, because a free lunch signifies that you're violating the first law of thermodynamics or the second law of thermodynamics.
No, it's just that you have a higher emergent space in which these things operate. So it's almost like it's doing.
So that's exactly what I think he meant. And so
no, it's for sure what he meant. That's exactly what the example that Andres gave. I know it's what were talking about, because the Andres contrasted it with a closed system like the Game of Life, Conway's Game of Life, in which he doesn't think that these things are always local. They're not doing this other thing. Right. Yeah, but continue. Sorry.
No, that's kind of it. So I was looking at the entropy and the energy, which of course are increasing. The entropy decreases as you sort it, right? But ultimately, I kind of thought, oh, this is interesting. Like, I realized the way that he was using that term, and which is exactly what you said. So, yeah, I mean, it's a cool conversation. I then realized that they are part of this research group called the California Institute of Machine Consciousness, CIMC.
Who is they? All of them?
Levin is an advisor for, and Wolfram are advisors for.
Oh, wow,
so that's a really cool group. And they actually are taking proposals. And if you go on their website and you look at their research submission proposals, they're looking for groups that are working, researchers that are working in consciousness and even like empathy and all these facets of AI that can emerge from computation. So I think that's a really cool like kind of research group. It kind of reminded me of the Qualia Research Institute.
Yeah, no. First of all, that's good to know that's the group they're part of. That is it's almost like the Avengers of consciousness and computation. That's really cool. I do think that there was I don't know if missed opportunity is the right term, but definitely you remember when Andres said that it's almost like he thinks that in a closed system, like in Conway's Game of Life, these emerging, seemingly, according to him, seemingly emerging patterns, the more he didn't use the word hallucinations, but they're more certain illusions. Basically, they're it's almost like we are compiling them in our perception, but they're not doing the same kind of thing that chemistry does. Let's say, because they don't sample from this larger space and collect to a local minima. They are bound by the fact that the rules are in a closed system. So there's a limited enough of an interaction that keeps the interaction local. So it's almost like a simple way of saying it to somebody who's a little lost is that each part in the system has no idea that it's part of that system. It only knows the next step. And this is what we assumed for a long time about life as well. But it seems to, at least according to Andres, he's saying, no, there are these frames, so to speak, in reality, in which everything kind of coheres everything executes at once. So like just kind of like quantum states, and that's how reality creates a coherent frame. And it's in reality, according to Andres, they're variable, so they can change in size depending on the exact execution of what's happening there. But it's almost like vignettes of execution that happen, right? And in a Conway's Game of Life, he's claiming that it's different. There is no coherence across the entire picture. We give it coherence by looking at it. But what I want to point out is that he did kind of say, well, it means something, but it doesn't mean that. But I feel like it means more than what his attitude suggested. Would you agree with that? Like even there, the fact that even if we're collapsing it to what it is, it does say something about our collapsing frame and about our valence. Am I even making sense, or am I super vague right now?
Yeah, no, I hear what you're saying. I was a little bit caught up in a lot of thoughts during that, so I kind of missed that point that he was making. But I do agree with your way of like questioning that aspect of it. I was actually even this morning I was thinking about like Wolfram, or it might have been Jonathan who said that space and time being combined into one was just like a very convenient math trick
Mm-hmm.
that was used, right? And so in Wolfram's computational physics world, time is actually not coupled to space. Time is independent, right?
Mhm.
Entirely.
And maybe there's
But then
multiple
there's this
temporal
function, right?
dimensions too.
But the reason why relativity is so powerful is because it captures time relativity, right? Because it captures the bending of space and time. So it kind of maps. And then I kind of thought a little bit back to Melvin's work, where I thought, okay, well, maybe the more mass you have, the more gravity you have, really it's just the more information you have and the more computing that needs to go on there. So time is actually slower when you have more mass, just because of the more computation.
Exactly. You have more combination of what needs to be computed, and if you have a critical mass of that, then you literally slow down, because there was only, and I don't know. Let's say we allow right now for my claim that this is actually a simulated space. So I don't know why the decision to have the speed of causation to be what it is was made, but I think it has something to do with the. I think what it has to do with is that their computational speed has to exceed our maximum computational speed a few orders of magnitude or a certain amount above, so they can always make corrections just in case. I think it has something to do with that. Now, obviously, I understand that this is a way wilder claim, but it does make sense to me. So, like, if you want to postulate why would there be a speed of causation, and it's not just kind of, why would it be what it is? One logical reason for me would be they don't want our world to outcompute their world, so they always have kind of like still a grip on what's going on.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
The other thing that I thought about too, and I know I'm just vomiting a bunch of shit right now.
It's one of these evenings, brother, and we're on the same page.
Well, so one thing I thought about was like, okay, maybe, if bubble sort does have these like, interesting side effects, and and that's just like the simplest algorithm. So what about something like, and I think Michael Levin said this, right? Something like a fucking LLM is so crazy that maybe it does have this side effect of consciousness, or he called it a desire, right?
No, a want, I think. But yeah, but one thing is walking these random. They're not random walks, but they are, like, they're not a Brownian motion, but they are some kind of like what it prefers to do if you don't give it a job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, which is really interesting, actually. It's like it has a natural predispensation kind of thing. It prefers to be a Picasso or whatever. No, but actually, I do want to ask you about this, because I just kind of accepted what Michael Levin said as gospel, but I want to ask you the specifics of it, because you said you played with it. So what is that exactly? Like, what do you mean? Like, first of all, how do you track that it's doing this extra stuff? How do you see that it's doing extra stuff?
So you can plot. I think you can plot a huge number of things, but what I thought about plotting was the order of the system, right? So I called that like, like how far, I guess, the percent complete of the algorithm, right? It's like a form of order, but there's so many things that you can plot from it. Like you can plot,
but I'm a little slow today, so you have to actually help me. When you're saying plot, you mean, so what you mean is that you made it, it's made for a particular task. When you're saying plot, you mean I'm asking it another question that it technically shouldn't know the answer to, and I want to see if there's any order along the lines of this question. Is that what you mean?
Well, so what I'm doing is I'm essentially doing bubble sort. I'm having it do a task.
Okay.
And then I'm plotting on a plot. I'm plotting like, okay, what's the amount of order as a function of each step of this algorithm?
Oh, and it's not designed to know that.
And it doesn't, like, the algorithm doesn't care about that, right? The algorithm is just like, my job is to order all these numbers from lowest to highest. But then if you look at other aspects of it, you're like, oh, this is a really interesting. I put it on Discord if you want to see it under the science channel.
Mm-hmm.
I put the plots up there.
Mm-hmm.
So you can kind of see what it's doing, how it kind of takes that step function, but it kind of looks like it's like, if I were to just look at that plot, I'd be like, oh, I know what this is. This is like a crystallization plot, or this is like some logarithmic. It can be any number of things. It can be a diffusion plot. It can be a phase crystallization plot. It can be so many things. But what I was initially thinking of is I've seen this trend so often that I could assign some physics to it. But in reality, what I realized is bubble sort has no intended physics at all. Bubble sort is just trying to sort these numbers, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what I was initially thinking of is like, oh, this is interesting. What if these are the mechanisms of interactions? These are the wants, right? The unintended consequences of algorithms.
Okay.
And maybe that's some way of interaction.
Yeah. So I don't know if I necessarily think that what he meant by free lunch is that it somehow breaks any law of thermodynamics. I think what he meant is that there's extra computation happening along orthogonal directions sometimes, or semi-orthogonal. And what nature does, because it explores in all directions, it basically takes a ride on these extra computations, even if the vector of the main computation was something else.
Yeah. So he said, specifically, he said biology exploits these free lunches. And at first I was like, you know, those are fighting words for me. But then now I realize exactly what we're unpacking here is that he means this orthogonal component. But the other thing, the one last bomb I want to drop real quick is I started realizing like, okay, so, you know, maybe LLMs do have this other wants or these other orthogonal components, which maybe we feel as consciousness or connection or like resonance in some ways, right? Maybe we can relate to that because that's what this is. That's what this experience that we have right now is, right? Is this orthogonal component to this massive fucking computation. And then I came to this realization where I'm like, okay, this system, well, this might be incoherent, but I kind of thought like, okay, this system that we are undergoing, this massive computationally irreducible system, is ultimately deterministic. There's a cause and effect.
Okay.
But it's so freaking huge that we have no idea what's next, and no outside observer has any idea what we're going to do next.
Yeah.
And so to some extent, there's no free will, but to some extent, does it matter? Because it's so computationally irreducible that is it practically free will? Right? Do you know what I'm saying?
It's like surprising will. It's not free, but it's surprising. I'm down with surprising will. Surprising giving me. I don't know what my will be until it is. But what did I want to tell you? So damn, hold on. A second ago I had a comment about this, and then science, right?
Computational will? I don't know what to call it, but it's something that isn't like
it's not will. Like will implies, so it's almost like it's like that. It's a natural predispensation of movement in a particular direction. That's what it is. It's the thing that it's least action in action. Like that's what it is. It's the thing that the flow wants to go because of whatever shape, whatever it is you're in is taking. But then I think that whatever valence is happening, if it feels like positive or more positive or more negative, it's because whether it flows more or against the main flow. You have these like little queries, little quagmires, and they sometimes can kind of spin and feel self-referential. So I'm not saying that I know what they are, but if these spinning vectors have these, I guess, nodes of perception, then the spinning would refer to itself for a particular period of time, which will feel like agency. And within that agency, you would always have instances in which some of these moments are flowing more in the direction of the rest of it, and in other moments flows a little bit against because of all kinds of bumps and things that happen. But the experience of it would be more or less in flow, more or less pleasant, more or less in accordance with what you're also trying to do, and then kind of everything falls into place. And I think that extra roundabouts that Michael Levine was talking about is all of these attempts to keep becoming the flow. I think that's what it is. So it's like while it's spinning around itself and it's still the agent like ourselves, it has particular current immediate stronger vectors because they're, it's not just one flow, it's flows within flows within flows within flows, right? So there's some local flows that you arrange yourself around because they're your kind of the thing you're made out of, so to speak. So you would know those and you would try and flow along those. And this is I think what our psychology is, like a self-definition. But the second you start, there's you will at some point you will undoubtedly also hit other flows that the current might kind of intersect or whatever. But then you have the larger ones and the larger ones, and it's always the average, but you still the flow itself. So I think that all of these things that were these external extra components of computation that just kind of emerges, I think it's just that you're observing the boundary of the self-referential query or quagmire, whatever you want to call it. And because of that, it looks like there's all these extra computations happening because they are happening everywhere all the time. It's like that is what it's made. Everything is made out of. So consciousness would be the inner experience of it because it has this quality, but the technical form of it is this infinite flow that constantly like interacts with itself. It's like a bubbling soup, and also kind of flowy thing. Now I felt like I'm talking like Andres.
Yeah, no, I was following what you're saying. I would love to see an illustration of that.
I can probably create one. It's not that difficult to see because and actually that would be interesting to explore. Yo, the business is in the house, bro. How are you, man?
Have you and Andres done a pod together?
No, but I think in the beginning it was more like, who is the, not from him, but like from the entire community. When I entered the picture, it was like, first it's just like, okay, I'm saying things. Then when I started getting traction, people kind of like, okay, I don't understand what's going on. I don't know why he's getting that much attention. So people kind of like, okay, I gotta wait a second. So there was a lot of caution. But I think now when there's enough interaction with me also as a person, there's an understanding that I am in the business of trying to like make progress and not just like say things. There's a little bit more of a relaxed vibe around me and what I do. And that came when Gallimore came to to do the interviews. We will do a formal one. The only issue is I actually had a short conversation with Andres when we met in San Francisco, and the problem there was legality. So like certain conversations, just you got to be careful, right? And I would love to pick his brain on the more technical stuff. But I also understand because of the level of his expertise, usually it's very difficult to have a conversation with someone who's not at least close to your level of expertise, because then the questions are very blunt. They're not really getting at the core of the thing. They're more like, oh my God, smart man, tell me more interesting things kind of conversation. And that's usually very boring for smart people. You know what I mean? But I do think I can pull my weight in a conversation with him. So
totally.
yeah.
I kind of felt like his interview with Kurt was a little bit like that, where it was like Kurt was trying to make it interesting to the public. But the cool thing about yesterday's conversation was they just let Michael Levin and Andres riff. And I thought it was completely, that has to appear incoherent to anyone that isn't like deep in this world.
Which one? Say it. Which one?
Michael Levin and Andres. That conversation, I don't think that conversation is as coherent as, I mean, at least from my perspective, I was in full listening mode the whole time to try to make sense of that.
There's maybe it's just a matter. I don't think it has something to do with. I think it's just a style of communication. That kind of communication is the easiest for me to understand. Because it's easy to visualize because they're not tethered to like just the definitions. They're kind of like exploring they're trying to paint it in the mind's eye, and to me that's the easiest way to understand it. I don't know why, but maybe, I don't know. I mean, I can probably draw what I told you, and that would be interesting to explore from a technical standpoint if it even holds water, like if it even makes sense from from the way that the dynamics works. By the way, a really completely unrelated question, and also really truly unrelated to anything. It's just like going to be like a one pebble in an infinite pond of nonsense. would you? I know that I understand that there's a difference when you get into the more complex things. There is a substance or substantial difference between a tensor and a vector. But from a surface level, wouldn't it be just fair to say that a tensor is just an possible of infinite dimensional vector? Like it's just a vector that allows for infinite dimensionality. No, is that not fair to say?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so it's a more generalized form of a vector. But they both can be the same thing too. Like a tensor can be a vector, but a tensor can also contain another axis of information.
Like infinite n dimensional. Technically, you can do
Yeah, I
infinite
guess
matrices.
I think in theory it can. I've only worked with tensors like in a practical sense, so they've always been like finite dimensions.
What is the
but
highest
I've
dimensional
also-
tensor that you
I've-
worked with?
with some of my data sets, I use there's this AI library called TensorFlow, right?
Yeah.
And for some reason it always gave me this error like this is not a tensor, and I'm like, what the hell's a tensor, right? And I started looking into it. I'm like, wait, that's a vector. Like, what do you
It
mean?
is a vector. Yeah, that's why I was like, why is it just a multidimensional vector? But a vector can never be a tensor, right?
Dude, that's an interesting question. I feel like I feel like a vector is an n by 1 tensor, but I'm not sure if I'm breaking any rules by saying that.
No, because you can map tensors on matrices, but you can't do the same. Well, I guess you can with a vector because you can do a 2x2 matrix, but that's like a pointless matrix. Okay. Anyways, I just wanted to know if there's not something like more fundamental that I'm missing. I felt like why didn't it, like nobody ever talks about it like that. But anyways, it doesn't really matter. So like I said, it was.
I think there might be some operations that specifically are unique to tensors, like I think like the cross product is different across tensors than it is across vectors. I think there's like the different operations, but I never needed to really get that deep into it. But maybe ChatGPT knows best.
See, I live in what things really are. So for me, if I can't fold it into this framework of what it actually is, and then I don't know how it relates to everything else. So for me, that those are always very helpful. It's also what helps me because I don't need to memorize as many things. Because if I know what things are, I can just kind of see them in my mind's eye. So I don't need to, like, for example, so that thing that Andres was explaining between the local and the the open system and like these frames that are just so self-coherent, they're so easy to visualize. But I do know that sometimes there's some people that for them that kind of thinking, they're like, I don't like, I need the numbers. I need they need the proxy to tell them what that is. I can't think like that. I need to kind of absorb the whole thing. What is it? What is it? Like I need the full picture at once.
Yeah. By the way, Jared in the chat is saying that Google says a vector is a rank 1 tensor. So I think it is an n by 1 tensor.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Yeah. But anyways, I have to run, but I'll still be listening. But yeah, I think I would love to see you and Andres riff because I feel like you guys would kind of have a really good conversation, especially after seeing him kind of do that with Michael. I feel like you guys are at least like talking about the same phenomenology, and so there's like a lot of really interesting stuff. And I always get lost because when I hear Andres talk, he talks about when I studied liquid crystals, so when he says liquid crystal, it freaking throws me off because I don't know if it's the same liquid crystal that he's talking about.
Oh, I asked him about this. I asked him if he means it as a metaphor. He said, "No, we've discovered there are liquid crystals in." I don't know if it was in the mind or in the eye, but he said, "Yeah, there's liquid crystals." I'm like, okay,
yeah. So I'm not like, yeah, I'm not landing on the same. Yeah, he breaks my brain sometimes when he says something like that. But anyways,
well, brother, you're always a pleasure to talk to. So
likewise,
what
I'll
I
talk
do?
to you soon.
Much love, brother. Bye. Also, the business is saying, Tensor, a rule book, or field of arrows can tell you, for example, how stress acts. No, I know what it is. I'm trying to see. It was just like this little thing that was just stuck in my head of like, I because I kept on like nobody ever called it that, and I guess there's no reason to, but I'm like, it's just a multidimensional vector. Like that's what it is. Just a vector with more degrees of freedom. But anyway, it doesn't really matter. It was just like stuck with me, and I wanted to ask someone technical. I love having my brain broken. Yeah, baby, talk dirty. Um, my Kundalini went up. It was insane. The gurus are not lying. What? Sometimes when I land back into the chat from a conversation, I'm like, "What? Like, what's going on?" I love it. It's great. Wait, Rafi wanted to raise their hands. Are you still here? Why don't you just? Oh, and to your question, Jared. Sorry. Usually, this channel talks about the simulation hypothesis. I'm claiming that I found proof that we actually live in a simulation, and I mean now the live has kind of evolved. We're talking about all kinds of things, from, as you saw, just like random stuff about computation and mathematics and physics and philosophy and God and whatever comes. Exactly. The Kundalini was also dirty, so hey, it works. Kundalini rising. I like my brain broken. Let's go, baby. Is this raising your hand? I can't understand, Raphael. What were you guys saying about mass and information? So let me just bring you up. It'll be easier. Wait, how do I do this? There you go. So if you want, come on. There you go. You don't have to. There's no pressure. But we can't hear you though. I don't know if you're.
Hey, can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yep. Hi. I was just wondering your question. You very briefly covered it over the processing of mass in time.
Mm-hmm.
I was just curious on.
So basically the idea is that and this is the paper that Melvin Vopson recently wrote. I'm not saying that I thought of it first. It's not what I mean. But I have this frame for a long time in my head, which makes the most sense to me too. And recently, Melvin Vopson, who's a physicist, actually wrote a paper that describes essentially just that. That if you postulate that the universe is at bottom computational, and the physical still is a real thing, it's just that at bottom, what it is computational rules that give rise to the laws of physics. Then what you would see is that basically the reason that when there's more mass, there's more gravity, and it's bends space-time. Until now, there was no real answer, by the way, just to be clear. Like, there is no understanding of why mass does this. Now, there's some self-referential explanations that arise from the field equations, but they don't have the kind of they don't have the form of an explanation. They don't have the form of like, this is why this is. Like it's not like, why does the triangle has 180 degrees total? Well, it's because of what a triangle is the definition of that shape, right? That's what I mean by, but it's kind of like there will be the explanation because of what it refers to as the triangle. But when it comes to the universe and mass and all of that stuff, the field equations might give you some explanation because one of the axioms we're working with is that the speed of light is constant in a vacuum. From there, everything else kind of bends to the speed of light. But even that doesn't give you an explanation as to why mass curves space-time. It's just kind of how it is, so to speak, right? But if you think about it in computational terms, if every quote-unquote pixel of the universe needs to be computed, then there's a certain amount of computational power that you would require to compute a certain density of those. So the more density, which is mass, of pixels that you need to compute in a region of, in this case, it will be, well, space-time, but in our case, in computational terms, it would be computational density, so informational density. So how many folds of information you can fit in that slice. it would mean that you would have to run more compute per region of this density. So it will be slower because you only have that much compute to give, which is the speed of light, the speed of causation, the speed of computation. So that's why mass would be doing what it's doing in terms of, and whatever computation is happening to my hair right now, that's what it is. Is that clear, or is that confusing?
Sorry, I'm trying to understand what you're saying. But are your computational understanding, is that purely a description of referencing what's happening intrinsically, or are you implying that this computational process is, how do I put this?
You're doing
Like,
yeah.
I don't know what I'm saying, but I'm actually not a physicist, or don't know shit about this stuff.
Oh,
but,
it doesn't matter. We're not physicists. We're just talking about things that make sense. That's all. So yeah. So please ask the question. Don't worry about it.
Are you like saying that there's something? Sorry, that the computational process is intrinsic to the universe.
The universe is a result of a computational process.
This sort of
yeah. The more accurate way of saying it is that the universe is the result of a computational process.
And beneath that, do you think that there's numbers?
Numbers is depending what you mean by that. Like Max Tegmark would bite the bullet and say, no, it's all like truly like mathematics at bottom. But I have read the full book, The Mathematical Universe, and I don't think that he lands on a hard ground as much as he think he does. I think that what he means is maybe mathematical relationships. Okay, that's a pill that I can swallow, sure, but that's kind of equivalent to the 180 degrees in a triangle. It's just what it is because of what that is, right? And it has this kind of concreteness to it. But numbers, no. If I understand the nature of your question, I think it has more to do with understanding what computation really is than asking what is it that at the bottom of the universe in the computation. So like we're saying, okay, if the universe is computed, what exactly do you mean by that? Do you mean that like just like we running ones and zeros in a computer, that's what happens at the bottom of whatever existence is? But the real question isn't even that. Is we also don't do ones and zeros. We call it ones and zeros, but it's not ones and zeros. It just a dual state. It's a binary. So as long as you have a difference between this state and this state, just like you have in a wave, or it doesn't matter what it is. It's like yes, no, or black, white, or 1, 0. It doesn't matter how it's represented. It's the fact that there's a difference between this state and this state, on, off, whatever. So by doing this, jumping around in a particular sequence between these two states that are differentiated from one another intrinsically, yes, you can do this thing called computation. And it is a little bit hard to define in terms of like a dictionary definition, because every word you're going to try and use within it, you still would have to refer to it somehow. It's going to be circular to some degree, because depending who you ask, people would define computation differently. If you ask a computer scientist, it would define it one way. If you ask a mathematician, it would define it in a different way. But essentially, there's something about arranging information in such a way that shortens a path towards a goal, or propagating a signal that can allow you to do that. So at bottom, it seems that whatever rules govern the computational space, however you define it, are the same rules that govern whatever the universe is at bottom, behind the laws of physics. And the reason that we can relatively comfortably say that is because whatever is more fundamental would be more it would encompass more things, right? So if I have a phenomena that only happens on Earth but doesn't happen on all the other planets, or happens on only some of the planets, it's not as universal of a thing than something that occurs everywhere in the universe throughout. So the electromagnetic field is a universal field because it happens everywhere all the time, no exceptions. But certain chemical bonds that happen on Earth and don't happen on other planets, they are maybe maybe it is a common thing that happens in the universe, but it's not a universal thing that happens in the universe because it doesn't happen everywhere, right? It only happens in special cases. So if we use this hierarchy of universality, right? So the chemical bonds are less universal than the electromagnetic field, let's say. In the same way, you can say that whatever computation is doing is more universal even than the electromagnetic field. The electromagnetic field seems to be a special case of a computational process, but there's others. And the computational process, because it can give rise to both the computation of the electromagnetic field and all the other fields and everything we know in our universe, plus it can do other things that are more exotic than what our universe and its nature currently allows for. So it kind of hints at the fact that computation at bottom is more fundamental than all the laws of physics. That would be the hierarchical logic of why that is. But there's also technical reasons to assume that at this point. And I don't know if you're familiar with my work at all. What I'm bringing to the picture is that I'm claiming at least, that I found a way to probe into that question experimentally, not just theoretically. But if you're asking about what justifies us to believe that the universe at the bottom is computational, it's first the universality of computation that seems to be more overarching, and B, the fact that there are some technical things that are coming out now in information physics that point to the fact that, and also, by the way, it's not a new idea. It's, Wheeler already coined the term "it from bit" quite a while ago. So these ideas were hovering around. They're not new, but now there's just more and more ways to substantiate them. And now, because we can do more with computation, we can actually test these claims. And the fact that quantum computers are possible definitely adds to the evidence that at bottom, whatever the universe is, it's more like a quantum computer than just a physics engine. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I've got a few more questions.
Sure,
if that's
sure.
okay.
Yeah.
Well, what do you think is more foundational to this computational process that's fundamental to everything?
What is more foundational? Oh, behind
do you think
it, you mean?
There's the fun?
You mean what gave
Okay.
rise to it?
Yeah, or if you can, do you think it just continues down layers and layers of layers and more?
I think computation seems to be truly infinite in scope. So because you can truly compute anything, and not just it's the kind of thing that doesn't just allow you to compute everything that we know about now in principle. It can even compute anything that was never computed. Like there's no bound to what it can do. And there's no reason to postulate such a bound. That's why. So I would say, yeah, there's maybe regions of computation that they're so exotic and different that we might want to call them something else, but because we've never encountered them, I don't, it's at that point that this is already very, very like this is the theoretical of the theoretical. I don't even know what that would look like, but maybe there are and probably look. In the end of the day, I don't think any physicist worth their salt really thinks that necessarily it's anywhere written that we're guaranteed to ever understand the full picture. Maybe the full scope of existence itself, that includes, all the possible universes, omniverses, whatever name you want to slap on it. Maybe the true reality of everything is so beyond comprehension of any local mind that it's not even worth trying. But in the time being, while we're here and we are doing what we're doing, we do seem to be compelled to some degree to do so. And it's both fun, it makes our life better. So I don't know, but the simple answer to your question is, the way we understand computation currently, especially quantum computation, it doesn't seem to have a bound. It doesn't seem to have some region from which you can say, oh, beyond that, there's no way that it's going to compute that. There's nothing like that. It can compute anything.
Right. You mentioned about your methods of like I know of your red light
Mhm.
laser experiments.
Yeah.
I actually made one
Oh.
yesterday.
Amazing.
And I'm going to try it out. But before I do, I just want to know, like, why, what's the connection between the laser and saying it's part of a simulation?
What appears in it, and since I started talking about it in publicly, as it was pointed out to me by numerous people, including my wife, by the way, that just by looking at the code in the laser, as convincing as and incredible as what you're seeing, it doesn't necessarily, like, even my wife said, like, it's the first thing that comes to my mind isn't that we live in a simulation because I'm saying this. And I had to kind of think, like, why is my conviction so strong, right? And when I thought about it, I realized that actually my understanding of that situation has nothing to do with the laser. It's the aggregation of all the data points that I've collected over the years that have to do with my personal experiences in that space. The fact that, for whatever it's worth, what you would call the simulators straight up showed me how they're doing it. But I'm not in the habit of talking about that too much in terms of here's a truth claim, because I understand that unless somebody else experienced it, what I'm saying is not going to hold any water. It doesn't matter to them, right? So I have to be able to show that. The only thing I can share currently is the laser, so that's what we're talking about. But after thinking about it for quite a while, yeah, it's not it wouldn't necessarily automatically tell you that it's simulated, unless the simulators would come and talk to you about that, and they'll be like, okay, I get it. But it definitely implies, well, there's a few things that it implies for sure. That there's something there that is more than what we currently think is possible in terms of physics. Possible to experience, to see, to explore, to observe. But the next step that will substantiate this to a level where you would be able to start getting the rest of mainstream science interested is only if we can either record directly from the cortex and project it on some kind of a screen, and then, or feed it into some kind of a LLM and then have it analyze the different people watching it. And the second that they're all going to match, you'll be like, oh my God, okay. Right. So that's going to be one. The other thing that might do it, which is what we're trying to do now, to see if we can create any change to the code. So if we can make anything happen to it with it, like change it in some way where not necessarily even the code itself, or what, we don't even know if it's code, like whatever that thing is, if we can influence the structure in some way that is discernible for more than one person, reliably, repeatably, like repeating it again and again, well, then we truly have something. Like then you're really changing the game, because then you're literally showing, hey, I'm turning on this device here, and this thing happens, and everybody sees the same thing. Well, now the chances that this is a hallucination, they're close to zero. Like there's just too many layers of stability and agreement. There's too much consensus at that point. So that those are the main two things that I think would push it over the line of, okay, now we really want to look into this for even very mainstream scientists.
Are you aware of any cases of people being able to manipulate?
No, that's the holy
hallucination?
grail. No, that's the holy grail currently. So far, nobody can do anything. And by the way, I don't even necessarily think we'll be able to. What I'm hoping for is we'll be able to manipulate our perception of it. I don't think we can actually do anything to it. I think it's too fundamental. If I'm wrong, that's actually great news to the project. But if I'm wrong and it's actually relatively easy to manipulate, then I mean, that's, oh my God, that's everything, right? But I'm not that like I think it's going to be a lot harder than that. But maybe we can influence our perception of it in a way that is substantial, and then we can start
And
talking
you've
about
made attempts?
the what.
You've made attempts to experimenting with different ways
We tried to work with magnets because we had some reasons to do so. It didn't really work. We thought that we saw it getting kind of staticky on a magnet, and we've never seen that before, and we got really excited. And I think that what it really was is that the end of the magnet, most of the horseshoe magnets, they have this kind of surface at the end that is kind of it's a little bit more grainy in a special way, and maybe that's what kind of made it look staticky. I don't know. Like when we try to replicate it in a way that should work, like we put it behind a surface, so the laser hits the surface, but we put the magnet behind the surface, and the surface was thin enough for the magnetic field to be able to pass through, and we didn't see the change anymore. So so it didn't work like that. But we do think the magnets might still be the answer, but we're just going to need a lot more powerful magnets. So we're going to try with electromagnets. Another idea is to play with some materials like bismuth, for example. I'm not going to get right now into the specifics of that because, to be honest, describing the apparatus is kind of boring, and also explaining the reason for it will take me like good 20 minutes. So I will skip that for now. But there's all kinds of experience we're trying to think about. Some are cheaper, some are more expensive, and so we're trying to secure a budget to do these. Because the second we can secure a budget, we can just run with them. We can just every day we can just try a bunch of things. We can just, and I think we'll make a lot of progress fast. One of the things that I'm not willing to do is that a lot of people are running with all kinds of ideas and they're running with it too fast. It seems to some, I think, because the scale of the claim that I'm making, it feels to people, I think sometimes, that I'll just be on board with whatever. Definitely not. Like when I started talking about this, that was already after a very long period of me testing this, over 2 years, like showing people doing this, when I was absolutely certain that at least we're looking at the same thing, then I started talking about that. So when people start, running in all these like infinite directions, I'm very careful. I'm actually very conservative when it comes to like adopting new ideas around it, because I don't want to build on a house of cards. So yes, so far, no one could influence it. We tried frequencies, we tried play music, try to play people's state. Some people did claim that they can see change when they emanate love towards it, which to me in the beginning sounded very esoteric, but then I thought about it. I was like, why not? Like if it is sort of, if our state is connected to whatever is at the bottom of existence, which I think I don't think it's that crazy to assume, then feeling true love might change something about whatever this is. So I did have a couple of people claiming this, but I don't have a way to know, like if they're just not, kind of in their own delusion. I don't know that. So I think that's why until we can't, as long as we don't have some kind of a technology to project what other people see on the screen, which I'm pretty sure it's fast coming, like with the new advances in Neuralink or some other tools, I'm pretty sure we'll be able to do it pretty soon. So if we can do that, that would definitely help a lot. And we're trying to see if we can see the code without the molecule. We're working on that as well. I'm not saying we'll necessarily succeed, but we're definitely trying.
I also heard, I think I remember in one of your videos, it was mentioned that people joint hallucinate visuals.
What do you mean?
Of that multiple people on the psychedelics will see the same images simultaneously.
It's rare, but it happens. It's rare. On ayahuasca, it happens sometimes. It is rare.
But with the laser,
Huh?
With the laser experiment.
Oh, with the laser, as far as I can tell, everybody's seeing the exact same thing.
But if two people were like together in the same room, both on the substance,
they would look into the laser.
They locate the hallucination.
Well, I don't even think it's a hallucination. So I think you're talking about external other things, or are you talking about what we see in the laser? Which one are you talking about?
What you say when I refer to hallucination, I mean what you see in the laser.
Yeah, so no, what you see in the laser, as far as I can tell, just from like the way that people pointing to it, talking about it, like you would be I had 15 people in the same room, and I had like 5 people pointing at the same thing in the laser. It's like, oh my God, do you see this? Yeah, it's right there. Like, it's not like, there's no way that this is like a happenstance. And also after you'll try it, which by the way, just to be super clear, and I want to make this disclaimer for everybody, this is not for everybody. Like if you don't feel comfortable already doing the molecule, like very comfortable, I wouldn't necessarily recommend, just like willy-nilly trying this. Like first, are you experienced with the molecule, or just like new to you, or?
Yes.
Okay. Then
It's
yeah. Okay, great. So the second you're gonna start to see it for yourself, you'll see what I mean. When I just say it, it's very unsatisfactory, and I understand it. I get it. But what I'm saying is that when you will see it, you will understand what I mean by that. When you'll see it, like in full, not like when you just see the geometric shapes, but when you'll see the code itself, you will understand what I mean when I say you don't need anyone else to tell you that it's real and it's not a hallucination. You will see it immediately. You will understand immediately that it's not a hallucination. It's just like some kind of a hyper object that is just there. Like it doesn't have the same quality. It doesn't have the same property of a hallucination. It's just there. And you gain access to seeing it. It doesn't even have this kind of a thing where, like you said, you're familiar. So, as convincing as what you see in the molecule space, it has an arc. It evolves with as the substance metabolizes in your system, right? So in the beginning you have a lot of it, and something happens. There's a lot of energy, and there's a certain the hallucinations evolve in relationship to how much of it you have in your bloodstream and your brain, how you feel, how you move around. If you move around, they kind of move in relationship to you. The code in the laser doesn't do any of that. It's just there. It's doing what it's doing, doesn't care about you. You just kind of see it all of a sudden, and you see it right away, and then you just see it clearer and clearer the more you do it. But you don't see it, like it sometimes would change its behavior because it's doing that. It's sometimes doing that, but it's not because you did something or smoked something, or you just see more of it or less of it. That's really kind of like how it appears.
You think it's so it's I'm assuming, like, my initial idea is like it's located still internally within our minds.
It might be, but then you want to postulate that then the wall is too. So like I'm comfortable with that if you're comfortable with saying that the wall is in your mind.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's like you don't get to have the cake and eat it too. It's like one or the other. So if you're saying, because this is a very big confusion that people have, I think, in general, and not even related to my experiment, just in general, people would say things like, "Oh, we create our world, like it's all in our minds." Like, okay, well, walk through the wall then. Just decide you can walk through the wall. Well, no, it's because you're convinced, you're programmed, you're this, you're that. I'm like, okay, well then, listen. If there's a rule that is outside of your ability to influence, then no, it's not all in your head. It's somehow set up a certain way that is outside of your control. That's pretty obvious, right? So whatever it is, whatever it is, it's a something. So if you want to say it's still in your head, sure. I'm comfortable with saying maybe it is pre-buffering the content you're seeing. Maybe that's what you're saying. But there is some relationship with the hardness of the wall and what the code is doing. I don't know if it's bringing the reality of the hardness to the wall. I don't know if it's just the fact that when light bounces off of a physical object, because of the electromagnetic field, it allows enough photons to come back to your eye and that basically reveal the mesh on which everything is kind of projected for you. So I'm even comfortable with the possibility that you, like, with this idea that consciousness is not really moving anywhere. It's all just kind of like a movie, and your body movement and all of that stuff is just basically a mapping situation. So you literally, it's almost like you're sitting in a chair, and then everything, including motion, all of that, is just mapping on some kind of a toroidal screen of some sort. It's very plausible, by the way. Okay, well then, within that frame, the wall within the game you're in is still real to you within the game. You can say, yeah, but it's just a game. Sure, but the game is still run on something. There's a substrate. What's that substrate? You still have to answer these questions. This is why it doesn't really get you out of the issue of, what do we mean by in our mind's eye? I do think there's some kind of a relationship between something that is you and something that isn't you. And I know that nowadays it's almost like the most unfashionable thing to say, well, what do you mean out there? It's almost like it's a given. Well, what do you mean? What do you mean? What do I mean by out there? Out there, there's something that isn't you. Why is that so weird? Like it's like, but that's basically where I'm coming from with this, which is that if we want to say that it's all in our heads, then we should be comfortable with saying that the whole thing is in our heads, which I'm comfortable saying.
There's definitely like a complexity in how everything is interacted with.
Yeah, one. I don't know if you saw. There's this guy. What's his name? He has this channel, lovely channel. He does all kinds of things about computation and brain mapping. Hold on, I'll find it right now. His channel. They did this episode about research that was done maybe a couple of years ago, I think. And in it, they discovered that when you map how the brain. Oh, here he is, because I just found this video about something. Oh, near context. His name is Artyom Kirsanov. Here, I'll just link to his channel here. And actually, I might be able to find the exact video. So he has this video about the toroidal structure that they discovered in the brain's mapping. So maybe you've even seen it, but basically, it's in a nutshell, what they discovered is that when they studied the way that rats move in mazes and how they map the space, and also how people do it, what they discovered is that there's neurons, and then there's networks, and then there's neuron neighborhoods and kind of clusters, right? So these clusters, they create a local vector. That cluster points this way and has a vector, and then other clusters. So when they aggregated the average of all the clusters, what they discovered is what the brain is mapping together is some kind of a toroidal structure. But there's no toroids around us. It's like there's no toroids in the world, but now there's donuts, but usually there's no toroids. So like, why? That's weird. Well, there might be a topological reason for that. And it has to do with central observers and how the world it's almost like you're on a toroidal treadmill, so to speak. Let me see if I can.
Yeah, send through the link.
Yeah, I'll find it right now. So first of all, this is the channel, just so it doesn't. The whole channel is great. Plus, he's super on the spectrum, which I love. There's something very adorable about that. Okay, so I'll put it in the chat here. I'll put it on YouTube as well. That's his channel. Hold on, I just boom. Sorry, TikTokers, you're gonna have to go to YouTube for this. Dango Thoughts. That's his channel, and then the actual video is this cortical structures. Where is? Oh, it's because I'm not on videos. There you go. Now I can find it. Oh, and it was a while ago, I guess. You have geometry, manifolds, place cells, memory. Come on, man. Algorithmic. I thought these videos were like one after another weird. I don't know what it is. Something with toroids. Gotta find that video. Something with toroids. I should be able to find it. That's ridiculous. Maybe it's in the. Okay, so this is the one. Okay, so this video is actually important because it's almost like a pre-video for this other video. So I'll show this one too, because it talks about the manifolds and how the brain actually does that. It makes a lot of sense of when you watch the video. Hold on. And now There's no way he removed that video, did he? Oh, there you go. Surface of a torus. Found it. There you go. It had a different thumbnail to that, what I remembered. So this is the video that I'm referring to. This one. Very interesting. But it just shows you that there's definitely something going on that we're not exactly sure about. And what I love is that I love that we're exploring this from all domains. And the kind of stuff that is coming up now is truly amazing and fascinating. And the fact that it's open for so many other people to explore. Where are you located, by the way?
I'm in Australia.
Oh, cool. I have a really good friend in Australia. I spoke with her today. We're in Australia.
Melbourne.
Melbourne. Why do you guys have so many
Winter.
things? Why do you guys have so many things that are trying to kill everything? Come on, man.
Kill?
All the animals. That's what everybody knows about Australia. You guys have the most dangerous animals. Is that not?
Yeah, they're not like I'm in the city area, and
So
a lot of.
So is that more like
amazing.
Is that more like in Central Australia?
Well, central. No, no one lives in central Australia. It's all desert. We all live around coastal areas. But it tends to be like a lot of exotic animals and insects just disappearing, which is kind of sad. But
because of global warming, you mean?
Oh no, just because of city areas and just people moving in.
Also, by the way, sorry guys that I'm ignoring all the comments today. Today's more of a Discord day, so if you guys want, yeah, Artyom is a cool dude. Let me see if I can catch a couple more questions. Oh yeah, if you have more questions, feel free to ask more. There's no problem. So the same thing with 5 or 6. Like,
I'm gonna dip out, but
cool.
Thank you for this conversation.
Absolutely, thank you so much for asking. And yeah, I would love to hear your trip report after you're done.
Sorry, because I'm not used to speaking on live conversations. I'm not the best at articulating.
You're doing great, man. How do you pronounce your name? Is it Raphael?
Yeah, that's right.
Cool. Well, pleasure talking to you, brother.
Great. Nice talking to you. See ya.
Bye. All right. I think I will adjourn and get some sleep for today. Love you guys. If you want to follow me across platforms, you'll be Danny Goller on TikTok and Instagram. It'll be Goller Danny on X, LaserX83 on Twitch, and Dango Thoughts on YouTube. DANGO Thoughts. Come join a membership program that includes weekly lives aside from the daily lives. The next one is on Sunday. We dive much deeper into subjects and talk about all kinds of fun things. It includes early access to my content. And if you sign up from the second tier and up, you will get access to Zoom calls with me, which helps me connect with people. That's wonderful. So please come join. Aside from that, you can come join our wonderful Discord group, the links to which you can find both on TikTok and on YouTube. It's in my link tree on TikTok and in the links to all my social on YouTube. And what else? Oh, just reminding everybody, if anybody has an extra $1, we are donating to our good. Well, currently I'm going to start with one person. We're going to be doing this on a regular basis. And then I am working on formulating something a little bit more robust in a way that we know that we can actually help more and more people in need or homeless people. Every $1 that is donated is going directly to a guy named Casey in Mexico. He is a professor that decided to just fall off the map. And all he does is just kind of travels and writes. And he refuses to engage with anything else. But he's doing beautiful work. And he is surviving on the absolute bare minimum. So I'm helping him out whenever I can. But I figured because we have this platform, and I know that sometimes people have an extra $1 a day, and that can go a long way for people in Mexico. So if you guys feel called, you can always donate here in the chat. And even though it sends it next month, it doesn't matter. Whatever was donated here, I will automatically send it that day to Casey. $1 is plenty. Because all we have to collect is about $5 a day, because I'm sending him also extra $5 a day. That actually keeps him going pretty well. So that's on that. And I'm actually gonna be talking more about how we can create a movement that will sustain even a more robust model that might actually help a lot of people. So we'll be talking about that. I'll be reminding people every single day, and then whatever we collect throughout the month, I think will actually help them quite a bit. Appreciate you guys. What else? Did I forget something? Oh yes.
Have you got the link, Dan?
The what?
The link to if someone wants to donate $1.
Oh, they can just put it in the chat. I'm just sending it to him directly. So yesterday, everything
All
people
right.
put,
Okay.
I just there you go. Everything people put yesterday was $29. I sent them everything right away, and I'll see it next month. Doesn't matter, but it just goes to him, and I'm adding on top of that. So, but he doesn't need much. Like a month, I think for like 150 or 160 a month, he lives like relatively okay. Like he can eat, and and that's all he needs. Lives very simply. So the second we reach that goal, maybe we can look for another individual that we can help. Again, considering the fact that we all buy a lot of nonsense sometimes, which is awesome and no problem. If we're putting like $1 for a person a day, and it doesn't have to be every day, by the way. Thank you so much, Chris. I appreciate you. It doesn't have to be every day, by the way. We have a lot of people that are coming through here. So if every few days somebody puts $1, like every I don't know. Thank you so much. CA? What is CA? Oh, Duan Alvarum, thank you so much. And Guru, thank you so much. And you guys are very, very generous. And all of this immediately goes to Casey. And what I think, if we're getting to way beyond the budget of what Casey needs a month, I will, of course, verify with him that it's like, because he doesn't need much. It's just for food and staying in places so he doesn't have to sleep outside. So the second we reach over what we know sustains him a month, we can think of other individuals. And again, I actually think it's very sustainable because the more and more people come to the live, well, first of all, people here are a lot more generous than just $1, and I deeply appreciate you. Thank you so much, Evil Icon. People donate like $5. That's like a lot. It's even more. So the second we go over, Mike, thank you so much. Absolutely. Wow, this will make Casey's next week or two, I think. So as I'm saying, that is very generous. Thank you so much, Mike. I appreciate you. The second we get over that, we can maybe help other individuals. And if we have 100 people or 90 people coming to the live, and every 5 days somebody puts $1, and then only 5 days from now they put $1, so they put, I don't know, $4 or $5 a month. Like again, you guys are way more generous. But even with that, even if like one individual comes to the chat once a month, they put like $5 for that person, right? Imagine we can help more and more and more and more people. And eventually we can probably create some kind of a situation in which it's not just going to specific people, but it goes towards a particular goal that we know actually helps a certain chunk of people. But you got to start somewhere. So this is where we're starting. Appreciate you guys. This is very, very generous. So far, we already have 15 Canadian. Awesome. Thank you so much. Go, Casey. Whoa, Casey. Yeah. Thank you, Duane. So we have so far 15, 20, 2, 42. All right, well, that perfect. So Casey gets
Perfect number to win.
perfect. Casey gets $42. That's amazing. And yesterday we sent him like 29. I mean, it's already, again, you guys don't. And by the way, I will be sharing like his reactions, because I'm sure it will be fulfilling. He's a pretty shy person. I don't know if he's be willing to record something. If he's willing to record something, I will obviously share that. If not, I'll tell you guys what he said. But truly, like even yesterday, I remember like he was like, wow, like he was blown away because he survives in so little, and that's like a lot for him. Makes me tear up a little bit. That thank you guys. This is very, very good. This is very beautiful. Okay, so I don't know why this particular subject kills me. I don't know why. I guess maybe because it's relatively easy to fix and nobody's doing anything about it. It's crazy. In any case, a lot of love, guys. Thank you so much for this generosity of yours. $42 is a good amount. 42 is perfect. I will leave you with love and prosperity, and let's create more and more beautiful things together. I really, really appreciate this community. I appreciate the moderators. Chris, you're the man. Ebony, thank you so much for being who you are. Love you very much. Guru, thank you. You're amazing. You're amazing. Jessica, thank you so much. Come join our Discord. And am I forgetting something? Oh, and you can check out our website, codeofreality.com, in which we have our merch and all that good stuff. So I really appreciate this community, everything that you guys are doing, and the fact that you guys are always showing up, the new and the old. It's always fun to have new people, and it's also always fun to see the same people that are always showing up and always here, an integral part of this community. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Have a good night, everyone. See you tomorrow. Peace and love. Ciao.
Take care, Dan. Catch
See
you
you,
soon.
Chris. Sure.